Hello everyone, I'm Donnie, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to create this puffy 3D brush in Procreate. It's easier than you think, and once you have the process down, it's simple to customize for some cool effects. So let's get into it. We'll start with a new canvas, and for this, I'll tap on the plus icon, and I want this to be 3600 by 3600 pixels. So I can click on this, but I'll show you how to create a brand new canvas. So what you'll do is you'll click on the folder icon, and here is where you would type in the size. Just like that. We want this in 300 dpi, and here it tells you how many layers you can have with these dimensions. And 76 is more than enough, so we are good. Tap on Create, and our canvas is ready. I want this canvas as a square because we'll be designing the brush template from scratch, and anything other than a square size will distort the shape. First, let's change the interface to white so there's no reflection that can be distracting. I'll go into Actions, tap Prefs, and toggle the light interface on. Okay, now we're good. Now what I want to do is reference another image for creating the space. So I will go back into Actions, select Canvas, and turn on Reference. This window pops up, and here I'll choose Image. I'll import an image from my photos, and I'll shrink this down and move it as far back as I can. And I'll use this image so I know how to shade in my brush base. Okay, let's turn on a drawing guide so we can keep everything centered. This is optional. If you have snapping guides turned on, this will be fine enough. Having guides is just a personal preference. We'll move the grid size all the way up, just like that. I'll select the monoline brush, but first, let's make the background black. I'll double tap to select absolute black, and now we'll go back and choose white. I'll also change the drawing guides to white by tapping on the color bar like this. I'll go ahead and draw a circle like this, making sure the ends are closed. Then I'll hold in place, and I'll hold one finger down to create a true circle. I'll fill with white. Let's put in the shading. For this, I'll create a clipping path above the circle layer. I'll choose a soft airbrush in the airbrushing set. And I can grab the exact color by tapping on the reference image like this. Now I'll just color in the circle to look like the image. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we'll make some adjustments to this in a minute. Okay, now let's soften it some more with Gaussian blur under the adjustments bar. Starting at the left, I'm just swiping my pencil across the screen until I'm happy with how it looks. I'll just go ahead and adjust this a little bit more. And you don't have to do this step. I actually have this image file. So if you want, you can grab this brush base for free, and I will leave a link in the description below. Since I don't need the reference image anymore, I'll go ahead and close this window. Now I will copy the canvas by selecting the wrench or Actions tab and tapping on Copy Canvas. Now we're ready for the fun part. In the brush library, I'll create a new brush folder by tapping on the plus sign. And I'll name it. I'll go ahead and duplicate the monoline brush, and then I'll hold drag it onto the new folder like this. Let's go into the Brush Studio and I'll click on Shape. I'll tap Edit, and then I'm going to paste to place in the image. Now I'll have to go through and change all the settings for this brush. So we'll start at the top. In the stroke path, I'll set the spacing at 6%. And then on to stabilization, we'll set the streamline amount at 57 and the pressure at 3. Skipping taper, shape, it's touch only, and then I'll scroll down to shape filtering and set this to no filtering. Moving on, we'll skip grain, go to rendering. I'll choose light glaze, and we'll keep the flow at max. And then down here where it says burnt edges mode, let's click this and set it to behind. In wet mix, I'm going to set pull back to none. Sometimes the little toggle won't move all the way back like you want it to. So if that happens, just double tap to set it. Now in color dynamics, the only thing we'll change is the color pressure. For secondary color, we'll set this to max. Nothing else changes. Dynamics is skipped, and in Apple Pencil, this is where a lot of the magic happens. In pressure, I'll move that to max and make sure opacity is set to none. Flows 0 and tilt is 0. Scrolling down to cursor outline, I'll set this to contrast. And then hover is set to 10%. We'll set the hover fill to all. Properties is another crucial place for this brush because it determines the pressure size and how opaque the colors are. So I'll turn on Orient to Screen, set Smudge Pull to max, for maximum size, I'll push that to 220 and set the minimum to 3. For opacity, I'll set both the minimum and maximum to max. Now, as you can see, the brush is starting to take on a 3D look, but we're not done just yet. I'll close out of here, and now I'll swipe left to duplicate our brush. I'll change the shape, and for this, we'll go into Shape Editor and over to Source Library. I'll scroll down to select the hard circle and tap Done. All of the settings will remain the same for this brush, except one. In rendering, we'll set the blending flow to none, and that's it. Back in the library, I'm going to combine these brushes into one. And to do this, I'll select my original brush first, then swipe right on the second brush to select it, and tap Combine. Now you can see that there are two brushes in the studio. Before I forget, I wanted to show you how to brand your brushes. This is important. So Here in About This Brush is where you will add your name and logo. And once you put this in, it can't ever be changed or deleted. So this is a way to always protect your work. I'll go ahead and change the brush name for this. Okay, now it's time to try out our brand new brush. And I'll just go ahead and stay in the window and add a background. This 3D brush actually works with two colors. So in the color window, you'll select a primary and a secondary color. As you can see, the colors look nice and opaque, and they blend really well together. And you can play around with different colors to see how they go together. It's kind of fun. See here, I have the lighter color as the primary, so let's switch them. I'll select the darker color to make it primary. Let's see this on a black background. I think I want to adjust the 3D angle on this, so let's go ahead and tweak this just a bit. I'll duplicate this brush, then I'll go into Settings and Apple Pencil, and then I'm just going to adjust the tilt to, let's say, 35%. Let's compare the brushes to see the difference. Here's the original. And here's the new. As you can see, the shadowed part shows a little more with the tilt applied. This is such a fun brush to use. And again, I'll leave my base file link in the description below to save you some time if you want to try this out for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials I will do each week. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.